Thanks for joining me. It's TMI and looking at what we have, looking at the drop in the oil price from $70 per barrel to $66 per barrel, and of course the 2.06 million barrels per day, benchmarked by the federal government on the national budget 2025 of the 54.9 trillion naira budget. What impact could this be making? Well, joining me to analyze this in the studio, I have with me at the extreme left a legal practitioner and also a senior pastor of Faith Pillars Gospel Center. And he is a human rights lawyer. And Patrick Awo Osage. Big thanks for joining, Dr. Patrick.
Thank you for having me, and good morning, folks out there, wherever you are.
And just beside Dr. Patrick, we have another seasoned legal practitioner, Emmanuel Obakwala. Big thanks for coming.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Philip.
And of course, we have a development economist, Destiny Owobu, joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Destiny.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, Destiny, I think I choose to start with you looking at the outlook, looking at the budget, the 54.9 trillion naira budget, and of course, this development. Some have said, well, this nosedive of the price from $70 per barrel to 66 may not affect politicians anyways. But do you see this as having a negative impact on the operations of the budget?
Yes, it does. Anything that affects the oil price is directly impacted on Nigeria and the budget. Like a professor in Great University of Benin once said, when the oil price sneezes, Nigeria catches cold. And so if you have, when you prepare the budget was prepared on a benchmark of $77 to $78. The current budget we are running was prepared on that benchmark. That is the standard price that was expected to fund that budget. Now that we have, the price has fallen to $66, it means that we are losing about $12 per barrel daily. $12 per barrel in the price. And given the fact that Nigeria produces about 1.7 million barrels per day, if you multiply that $12 shortfall by $1.7 million, it means Nigeria is losing $20 million a day, wow, which is approximately 30 billion naira every day for that shortfall. This will immediately translate into financing the budget that has been estimated in terms of financing capital projects. It will also fall into foreign exchange earnings because, as we all know, crude oil contributes over 70% to government revenue and over 90% of Nigerian foreign exchange earnings. So anything that happens to the oil price is directly impacted on the budget performance. It's also directly impacted on the foreign reserves of currency that we have, which is about 30 to $40 billion. If we are not earning enough foreign exchange, it means our foreign reserves will be depleted. And it also directly affects the value of the naira, because if we don't have enough foreign reserves to fight the naira in the market, it therefore means that the dollar to naira price will be impacted, which currently is about 1,525 naira. If we cannot sustain the reserves, it therefore means that we may begin to see a situation where the naira becomes weakened. So these are multiple impacts of that price difference.
Okay, let's get your thoughts, Emmanuel Obakwala, because looking at from where we're on, looking at the political aspect, and of course, some have said politicians seem to be looking at the next election and not actually tackling the issues, of governance. Do you see a lag on the part of the administration of the president's perspective in tackling this issue headlong? Although we know the aspect of the liquidity of the naira and, of course, some monetary policies that should be deployed. But do you see the administration as, being geared up to tackle this challenge?
To be frank with you, I do not see it. And when you talk about the drop of the naira, what does it mean? It simply means that there is decrease in demand, and increase in supply. That's just what it means. And now there are factors, key factors that affect the drop in crude. One of it is the two principles I've mentioned, increase in supply, decrease in demand. You have political instability, production costs, and natural disaster.
Insecurity also.
Yes. Now, you discover that upon the swearing in of the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, he did say that he was going to ensure that there is decrease in the demand of oil. He did say it. And to him, he said that that will enhance a boom in the American oil. And today we have seen that happening. Do you know from January to this very moment, we have seen a lot of fluctuation. Now, it goes back to tell the drafters of the Nigerian budget, what did they see would happen in the future? What was their thoughts? Did they just sit down there and say, oh, let us just peg the budget on so amount? Was that what they did? Then it go to show that though the drafters of the budget and the president and his team don't really have vision towards the economic impact of whatever budget they present to Nigerians. Look, we are talking of the drop of the oil. Does the ordinary man, the ordinary Nigerian understands that? The answer is a no. And why? Because we cannot see a transparent policy, a transparent budget as done by this administration. Now, when you look at the way the administration is running the country, oh goodness, you would agree with me that it is like an accidental discharge from the barrel of a soldier or a policeman. So, and that is what we find ourselves today. And that's why you will not see, they will not tell me and you, tell Nigerians that, oh, there's a drop in the naira. But what about the time we have boom in the oil price? What did they do with the SS? From under the rulership of then General Ibrahim Bodamasi Babangida, we had this country experience oil boom. Was there a plan for the future? You would say, oh, it was a military junta. Now, under the administration of late President Muhammadu Buhari, I think he's one of the presidents that was privileged to enjoy oil stability. There was stability to some extent. What did they do with the plan, the money, the excess money they got that time? Did they plan with it? No, you would agree with me. Now, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, we had a little relief. But however, from January to this very moment, there has been fluctuation. But we see that even when you have excess crude, you have excess money from the sale of oil, these men still go borrowing. And the question is why? So when you now bring me here and tell me, oh, come and speak on oil drop, oh, then I will not sympathize with the government and make Nigeria convinced or confused or both to Nigerians to see how we could reason along with this government. No, we cannot reason with the government because when they have it in excess, what did they do with it? Okay. The politicians have so much. They will tell you, they can go and borrow. Every one of us will pay in the future because they don't care about us. And that is why you see today, the oil price, you will see the pages of the paper will carry it. Media houses like you will begin to amplify it so that Nigeria will know that something is happening. But when there is excess, do you do that?
Okay, let's look at the policy that has to do with diversification of the economy, because overdependence on oil basically could be a problem where we always go cap in hand, borrowing. How do you see the administration's effort in diversifying this? Patrick.
Thank you very much. Well, before we talk about the diversification of the economy, which ordinarily should have been, I think the greatest disaster that will fall in this country is the discovery of crude oil in Nigeria. I think that's my opinion, and I think that's basically what it has been. You see, we have just narrowed every of our agendas and thoughts, desire to grow as a nation towards the crude oil as well. You know, see all that oil is doing for us, and I don't see any sense in it. Even from elementary economics and all you can reason and talk about, it's obvious that it's like we're a joke. You know, I see it as a disaster that has happened, not waiting to happen. That has happened that you pretend. You know, when somebody passes away, they pretend to tell the old ones so that they don't fall sick and die. And so, where's this person? The person traveled, you know, and they will soon come and say, I want to see this person. And they say, don't worry, just relax. Maybe it's a few weeks he will come or will communicate him that you want. You know, I've seen that happen. When my father passed away, his mom was not told that he had died. Yeah, they actually said to the mom that he was not feeling fine and all of that. But she wants to see him, but she couldn't see. That's exactly what's going on in this country today. Because I don't see from the president to the least in power or in government formation, they're all joking. I think that's a joke, you know, it's a great joke, and I will continue to see it like that. You can't change that opinion from me.
But in time past, you've always praised the efforts of the president.
No, hold on. I praise his efforts. Does not mean I will not come here to lie lastly. You know, it doesn't make any sense. I praise his effort because I've seen his antecedents. Back in the days, I've seen what he had. Maybe age is telling on him. Maybe they should pair those that will run for election to be people that are 30, 40 or so. I think they are too old. He's too old so much. I don't think he still understands so many things. I don't think so, personally.
Don't you think the aspect of looking to the next election, 2027, could be another distraction?
An issue. He has president already. Obama was contesting the election with Mitt Romney. Is it Mitt Romney or who again? John McCain. When he mentioned, he said this one. He said this one. He was referring to Barack Obama. Americans didn't take it lightly. And Obama stood up and said, I'm the president of the United States of America. You know, you are an aspirant. I'm not an aspirant. You know, I'm seeking re-election. I'm already president. There's nothing you do today now that Tinubu is already president of Nigeria and he will live with that name forever. So basically what I'm saying, there's nothing more he will become after the next election. He's still going to be president. Jonathan is president. So what I'm saying, that's not what I'm trying. What I want to say here is this. You see, the jokes, you saw what my brother was saying a while ago. We keep borrowing. Just ask yourself, do we advise people to keep going back for loans that they can't fund? I tell every average Nigerian that wants to say, I'm a lawyer, help me talk to these people. I have a lot of financial institutions that I can talk to for you, but you can't pay back. The system will not help you, even if you are honest. The environment will not enable you to pay back those loans, except you are hoping on someone else to help you pay out those debts. So else you end in prison, or you forfeit all your or you put the money in. So basically, going back to borrow here and there, and you only have crude oil to hand on, that's madness. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. It shows that we are not thinking. Okay, what are the projections? What lies ahead? What's those that are making Nigerians run now? They are not those in power or government. Government folks are just speaking money, pushing it there. Even the budget, if you trace carefully, and you will be surprised at a lot of repetition. They just copy and paste, you know, in principles of law. Now they say, well, the Federal High Court, you know, no matter, just change the parties. And the little change, you understand? You know what I'm talking about. You just go to type it, so yeah, do it for me. It's something similar. But in the actual sense, you look at the ratios of cases you are analyzing, you should know cases, even a senior lawyer goofed in court. Because he used a particular
template
case, and then it was not an embarrassment because you didn't sit down to look at it. I think leaders are no longer, you know, asking their brain. Just get somebody to draft and throw it out there. I think that's basically what it is. Why will we continue with only crude oil at this time? We're talking about insecurity. We're talking about farmers can't go to farm. We're talking about exports. You know, what is happening around that aspect that people can come together and say, this is what we want to do. You see the bottlenecks around it. It's like frustrating and sprinkling those activities. And whereas we leave the larger nation to just, you know, suffer in that regard. And look at it critically. Nigeria today now, if they tell you, okay, without crude oil, there's no Nigeria. That's what you're saying now, right? You said what my brother said. We were saying that, you know, the professor said if it blink in the crude oil, Nigeria catches cold. Does it make sense? Why should we live like that when we have a lot of things? We have a lot to bless us to live on, but we just choose to remain there. That means I want to believe there's a structure. Because if you take a look at the presidents that have been proud today, except for during the military era that some soldiers could come on board, just take a look at them from Jonathan to Yaradua, Jonathan, Obasanjo. It's just a little change. It's just the same thing. I'm telling you the truth. Just look at it, study their policy and study how they live their life. It's Obasanjo that even made, I would consider him the best, that made all efforts to pull us out of debt. You see, he was fighting to know we don't want Paris Club, come on, you guys should pardon us. After pardoning us, then you see others coming again.
Okay.
borrowing, and then Jonathan coming on board and, with Yanni and the ATM moving around with money everywhere, and somebody claim, the kind of arrogance in government. You are not there to work, you are just there to flaunt yourself. After him, what happened? We saw Buhari. That was the man that never knew anything that was going on in his government. If you ask him, he says he's not aware. He's not aware. Then why are you here, sir? Resign and go home. He was always fighting ill health, and he was still hanging on as president, and he won't allow the other man, Professor Osibanjo, to act. And before he travels a little, he's coming back. A lot of issues now. We are back here now. I just see this government now like a Buhari's government, because I don't believe they are Tinubu that I know.
So you see it as an extension?
An extension.
Which means at present you are disappointed.
I'm so disappointed.
After all you expected.
When I say disappointed, I cannot be actually disappointed as a person though. Okay. Because I have never been like that. But I'm not that person that will put my eggs in that one basket. I encourage Nigerians to also not think that way. Don't expect that the government will better your life. The government will create an enabling environment. Okay. But you yourself as an individual, the aspect you should work, you should fix your life. That's all right. What I'm saying. All right. The president today now, just opposing it with what he had been in time past, when he was governor, that we were all clapping for him, and
there's a decline.
When Idris Abdul Karim, that is now fighting him, my very good friend, was singing and saying, "You don't bash my car with Tony Tetwila" in the streets of Lagos, because there was some good relationship. There was a governor that was seeing the people. There was a government that felt that the people were able to look at Lagos today now. The highest number of billionaires are in Lagos. Okay. Because of the kind of environment that the economy was bullish and was created by the Ahmed Tinubu, so we cannot wish that away. Okay. That is why some of us will say the Tinubu agenda, or the Tinubu as a person that we knew. What is going on now is what I don't understand.
All right, let's come to you. Thank you. Let's come to you, Destiny. Now, we've been saying what has been happening. Is it an act you can say the president takes blame for, or the entire people of this country? Because we look at the aspect where you even mentioned the price, the falling price and how it affects us, the losses we're having. And if you look at the production capacity that is dropping every day as a result of insecurity, pipeline vandalism, the Miss Comfort Emerson's attitude, that is trailing in every character of Nigerians, where they are always violent, want to throw the punch, want to use the fist. Do you see this as also a contributing factor?
I think we are dealing with institutional failures, and it will be very regressive to try to blame the problems of a nation on individuals. I think what has happened over time is the failure of Nigerian institutions. In economics, we have what we call the Dutch disease, or the resource curse. Like my panelist said in the studio, the discovery of oil has turned out to be a curse on Nigeria. Nigeria has earned over $600 billion from petroleum since 1970 to date. And yet, as a country, we have not been able to diversify the country away from oil. No country earns that type of money and does not divert it to industrialization or to export-oriented businesses. It is still a misnomer that 20 years ago, when I was in the university, we were told that oil contributes 90% to our foreign exchange and over 70% to government revenue. 20 years later, the status quo has remained. What that has meant is that Nigeria has been a resource-cost country, given by the fact that politicians are only going to Aso Rock to go and help share the largesse. Any country where mineral resources dominate its production profile is a weapon of mass destruction. The reason is simple. If you read the book, Why Nations Fail because they have one major characteristic. A country is either extractive or distributive. Some countries tend to distribute wealth in a way that every player, economic agent, individuals, businesses, and government agencies are able to independently generate wealth and transfer it around the country. But when a country is cursed by natural resources, then the government becomes extractive. So what we are having is a situation where politics in Nigeria is an extractive venture, where anybody who goes to politics is congratulated because he's going to go and share the national wealth generated from oil. So the problems of Nigeria are cumulative. They've been running several decades. Now, what is simply happening is we need a leader that is transformative, that is going to redirect the total values of this country away from extractive ventures into wealth creative ventures. Of, Unfortunately, what we have seen in the last 25 years are governments who continue the status quo. From Yaradua to Jonathan to Buhari to the current president, we have not seen any evidence of an effort to redirect the economy away from extraction into manufacturing, construction, real estate, and into our human capital development. Check the structure of our budget. We are simply sharing what is available. And a country that runs on such a model is not sustainable. We cannot, it's a national security risk for Nigerians to still be depending on petrol. Let me tell you something. What happens when the world determines an alternative to crude oil? It therefore means that our futures are at stake. So it is actually, like all the panelists have said, it's a shame that in the 21st century we are still discussing crude oil price. And it's, how do you peg your national security on a product whose price is determined internationally? You don't have control over the price. These prices are determined by the global powers and the global demand and supply shocks that happen. So it means you are pegging your financial security on a random variable, which could go up and down. So what has the government done to diversify the wealth from natural resources to the human potential? I have said it many times. The greatest wealth of a nation lies in its people, their capacity to think, their ability to generate wealth from the capacity of their creative mind. And how do you do that? Nigeria has over 90 million youths. What is the educational power of these youths? I'm not talking about philosophical education. I'm talking about technical education, vocational skills, ability to generate wealth, entrepreneurship skills. The big countries on earth pride on their entrepreneurs. Billionaires everywhere in the world are people who create business organizations, build these empires. Go and check the top 1,000 richest men in the world. They are not politicians.
That's true.
But in Nigeria, the richest people in the world are people who are either talkers or sharers. Okay? We only have one major industrialist or two major industrialists in Nigeria, people like Aliko Dangote, people like Boa Cement. Those are the people that have the right to call themselves true billionaires. What we have are politicians who are billionaires on paper, have no productive ventures. They are simply part of the national cake, looting and sharing, because it is easy to just drill oil and sell it. So to me, as a matter of national security, we should be holding emergency meetings to determine what are we going to do in the next 20 years to move away from dependence on crude oil into other things. There are other sectors in Nigeria that can be developed. Nigeria has the purest form of steel in the world, for instance, hematite. It can be found in Alajana, Jakuta. We should be making investment to make Nigeria a steel giant. Nigeria also has limestone deposits. Nigeria should become a cement giant. We also have a youthful population of intelligent people. Nigeria has one of the largest youth population in the world because these people are young, vibrant, and intelligent. We should be training them in technical schools, giving them digital skills, training them in agricultural, training them in entrepreneurship. What are we doing? What investments are we putting on to divert our investment energies away from extractive ventures into productive value generating ventures.
Thank you.
The government is not doing that. So I actually I feel pity for this government because we are simply trying to solve the same problem using old faith solutions. It doesn't work. We need a leader
Thank you very
who
much,
does not
Destiny.
follow the but transforms the model. We need a transformative leader. And
Okay.
I am sorry, we have not gotten that type of leader yet.
Thank
We
you
have
very
not
much.
gotten that
I
type of
think
leader yet.
what you just said leads us to leadership qualities, and most especially, if we must get it right, then we must ensure that we have the right leadership. I think that's why the white man would say, placing square pegs into square holes, round pegs into round holes. In 2027, how do we get it right? Well, there have been political figures popping up. We have the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and of course, we also have the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and then the whispers of the comeback of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the former president.
Jokes.
Will the comeback of GEJ bring about blessings or peril? We'll find out after this short break.